Guys, thank you so much for joining me. Polina here, talking to you about your magnificent February and what do we have to expect? What have we to expect, Polina? Well, there's a lot of beautiful stuff happening during this time. And yes, of course, I'm also a very big fan of Aquarius because I have Jupiter in Aquarius. So I have a very happy time usually there, but not always. It's a very, very mean time this particular year. It is very scrutinous on the details. It's very mean sometimes. And it can be all about you and another person. Sometimes it could be about you and your significant other. Sometimes it could be about your child and yourself. It could be sometimes about certain reasons or certain delicious things that could be happening. In some people's cases, we have some friction. And this may come up to the surface very quickly. So the main thing basically I'm talking about here is the madness that can sometimes happen to us when we don't care, but we want to do something different, something special, or we are about to face some really big results or some really, really big questioning energies that are trying to show us the ending or the beginning of things. So these energies are very big. We are with the North Node traveling from Aries to Pisces. It's a very, very immature time sometimes. People don't want to know what is actually happening. They would rather do something very extreme, and they would rather do something for other people. Sometimes they would want to be in a group or a gang of people and feel some kind of a global or familiar truth, then actually get to know themselves and understand each other. So sometimes there is like group philosophy. There are brands coming up during this time. Specifically, there are big shoes that we got to fill suddenly. People think it's the beginning of the year and it isn't. And what I'm kind of meaning with this is that we have to just calm down, relax, and sip our tea, sip our wine, and just carefully resonate. If something or somebody is not resonant anymore, that will show. And it'll be very exciting to even tell them sometimes. It's like, look, you're not doing that for me, which you've done before, or I'm not resonating with your materials, or maybe it is a partner or an ex-best friend. So things are not looking good for couples during this time. We have Venus going from Pisces to Aries. She is going to really show us, and it's going to be very burdensome if we don't relate. If we can't be around certain people, it's going to be a very big truth that this Venus is packing with all of this happening in the sky between Pisces and Aries as these planets are slowly starting to droop down into Aries. It's going to be hard. There's going to be a lot of questionable behavior. We're going to ask, is that really you? Or like, is this what you were the whole time? Like, is this how you're going to treat me? So definitely people are going to feel very much pain, dishonor, distrust, and madness in certain situations. People are going to also ask, is this it? Or like, is this all that there has ever been? So we have to be very kind and honest, and we have to be very cool about the fact that some of that which is happening this February is not at all how we expected, is going to be a very big showcase as to who everybody is in the picture. And for some reason, I feel some people are going to suffer like a heck of a lot, if they don't actually have anything valid or certain, because we have Saturn in the sky. Saturn is mean. Saturn is going to be nasty to somebody. Saturn is going to be very, very much like the joke's on you. Like, for example, you have had this friend for such a long time, you did everything that they would say, and then you made such a big maybe sacrifice for this person, and now the joke's on you. That person is not capable of feeling anything, for example. So, for example, if you've been paired up with a narcissist, you will find that out today. If you've been joking about and having fun with people that had no real cause and effect to give you, you will find it out very fast. So some people have had instincts and insights since about November, like, oh, no, this is not looking good. I don't think this is going to last me my life, or I'm not sure if this is actually the best way of doing this. So the trick is, because we are in snake here now, is to be very kind and careful and take yourself out of weird situations. Avoiding chaos is important. Avoiding conflict, confrontation, any kind of bickering, any kind of anger. Saturn is terrible. And we want to somehow just stay online You don't want to, for example, call someone out today. You don't want to call them up and call them names. It's very dangerous to also trick people into showing up when they shouldn't be showing up and such. So we want to take several steps back. It's absolutely okay if you don't like the conversation. It's absolutely okay if you don't like the situation, how you treat it. The best decision is to slowly manifest something else, slowly walk away, slowly drip away, drip out of the sequence, drip out of the storyline, so you simply have another way to go. So this is wonderful. If you are sitting on bags, this is a good time. It's just important that you check everything. For example, you're a single woman or you are about to be, okay, so you have your bag, you have your passport, you have your cards. Check, double check. Make sure that you're not giving away sensitive information during a snake year, especially Pisces. Make it very clear that you want to get away. You can make a quick change very fast. So what I really like about this, it's like snakes and ladders. I'm not sure if you've played the game. Although there are many snakes, there are also many ladders. So people help each other very quick. While we are in Aquarius, everybody knows something or somebody. Everybody knows where you're meant to go. If you are in a really tight place and you're going, wait a minute, this is actually kind of serious and I'm not quite sure if I'm going to make it past a certain point. It's very, very good that you are feeling this. And what we want to do is we want to resonate with that. We want to resonate with these feelings, but not let them get out of control, because it's really easy to rock the boat. It's really easy to shock yourself or other people. And it's going to get messy and messy and messy. It's going to get messier and messier. So the idea here is to keep your smarts about you, keep your wits together. This is not the beginning of the year. This is not the second month of the year. This is the ending of a previous cycle. And we won't really feel it until Aries begins. You know, Aries is the truth. This is going to happen in March. It's going to be the equinox. And we're going to really see things differ. Like, that's the difference. If you were thinking, you know, when is this difference coming? Like, this is the year, this is the year. This is not the year. And I've been talking about this for 9 years. This is just like the beginning for a few of you. Yes, for sure, I understand that, you know, the Chinese philosophy has some, you know, credit. Of course, you know, the Chinese believe that the snake year would be naturally starting. Some believe in January, end of January. Some believe in February. So yeah, we definitely do have this kind of maze opening for us, but don't criticize other people. It's nice to be very safe. If you're thinking, when am I going to do that amazing thing, when I'm going to like call the numbers or do something ecstatic, this is not going to be a good time now. It's a bad time. We're heading into Saturn territory. By the end of the month, we're going to be in Pisces, and it's going to be about 10 degrees away from Saturn. The sun is going to stop at 10 degrees previous to Saturn at the end of the month, and you don't want to do anything willy-nilly, you don't want to do anything bad, you don't want to splurt out, you don't want to do anything that could potentially cancel you from a situation. Easy to make yourself no longer valuable in a situation, easy to have a fight that may be fatal or may be very undignified. So in some situations, if you are, for example, experiencing, I'm sorry I'm bringing this up, domestic abuse, regular abuse, and you're now understanding, oh, I got to get me and my kids out. Horrible time to cause a fuss, terrible time to fight, and a horrible, horrible time, especially if you are near somebody that may not necessarily be very kind to you. And the minute that you say something, all hell can break loose. So basically what we wanted probably for a really long time is to have some freedoms and have some compassions. Snake is going to be the sign that makes it hard to forgive. Like before you were like, oh yeah, you can do whatever you want, I don't care. Or like, oh yeah, you can say whatever you want, I don't mind what you're saying. Now it's like, oh, you know, snake is gonna get ugly. So sometimes snake is also a sign of respect here, and it can be very frustrating if you haven't got any. And it's going to be very, very hard to notice what is going on with you sometimes or other people. So the best thing is to take a little bit of a step back and to wait. It is hard if you are noticing things about other people and you never thought you'd notice them. It's very, very dangerous if you have a mean streak or personality, if you want to fight them. And of course, in a natural cause and effect, it's very, very dangerous if you are deeply hurt and frustrated and there is something about you that wants to zoom out there, also with this Mars in Cancer, and show them. Horrible time to show anything. Horrible time to stand in front of an audience if you're not used to it. Terrible time to suddenly find a new love interest with this Venus going from Pisces to Aries, unless you have your natal Venus in that place. Terrible to try. It's very, very hard if you are in a completely new territory like a fish out of water. You should not be there, should not have ever been there. Did you put yourself recently in a situation which is hard for you? For example, you've made a friend who's horrible to you, but you like them because they have money or they seem very sarcastic, but they look very confident. Don't be that person. Don't be that person, the secondary person. Have you eroded your system? Have you erased your personality to be somebody else? For example, you have been a quiet, nice, shy person, and suddenly you're realizing that you will not get anywhere if you were just yourself, and maybe you are with a body of people that is pushing you to be somebody more conscious and somebody more intense or extreme, and now you have to, silence yourself down and think, am I appropriate? Is this appropriate for me? For example, you're a mother of two, everything is going great, and now you're taking sexy photos of yourself and putting them on social media. Is this appropriate? Is this appropriate? So this is a question, being out of your depths, and also dancing with, I don't know if this is going to sound good, but for the lack of a better word, satanic cycles of time. Satanic cycles meaning, I'm going to do this thing, I'm going to see if it works. So anything like this, like for example, sudden cosmetic surgery, suddenly going abroad, suddenly hopping from one thing to another, especially if you are trying to glamorize yourself, you are associating with people, you're trying to get their attention. For example, you're starting a new marketing campaign, you're bringing your best out there, all guns are blazing. So definitely don't worry. If you've seen anybody do it, for example, recently your best friend had plastic surgery and she looks great and you're thinking, should I be doing this? Don't worry. If this has been recent, like say February, don't do this. If people are getting plastic surgery, if they're dressing differently, if they're trying something very exceptional, very incredible, if they're suddenly completely out of their depths, like they're being a different person, not always, but sometimes this is a cause for concern. Sometimes sadness and despair comes out in the most arrogant and bossy person during this time. So if you are looking at somebody and they're suddenly getting new tattoos, if your son or daughter, especially young people, because we're in Aquarius, this definitely affects them as well, are acting out, wearing different things, becoming different people, if there's a lot of laughter in the room, if there's a lot of power, there's a lot of also wisdom, sometimes you may want to be very careful and very kind and consider them. So a sudden need to wear like leopard print or latex, a sudden need to be somebody in the group, a sudden need to spend more money than one has, a sudden need to talk about a subject that one is not capable of talking about is very much Aquarius. We have to take a definite step not to be like that. Chaos shows what is chaotic during this time. People that are stressed out, people that are hurt, people that are drinking, people that are mega this or mega that, any exalted energy, like somebody being an incredible boss, or somebody being an incredible guru, anything that is managing itself above a certain normal level of life and is heading into an extreme or an edginess, you need to basically understand what is this. And sometimes it is not significant. A very insignificant person, like a teenager or young person, may want to do something drastic to themselves. So this is very important. If you also know who you are, I need to be drastically different, I need to be drastically curious, and a very big fierce need to meet somebody, to do something exciting, to go somewhere where you're not invited. We have to so much love you, we need to cuddle you if you are one of these people. And sometimes it's not actually about this. Sometimes it is knowing, and maybe years of understanding have boiled down to a point. So for example, if you have been treated terribly at your home, and now you're understanding that you've been treated terribly, it is now going to come to a head and it's going to be very known. And then maybe people are asking, well, how am I meant to look good to myself? How am I meant to really know how to act from here on? And I'll tell you, the territory is right for you. Things are right. A lot of what we have is fixed as, of course, Aquarius is a fixed sign. Things have come to a head, or they have come to a full stop, and we don't want to breathe, we don't want to breathe fire, we don't want to be arrogant, we don't want to be malicious or suspicious or angry or frightened or depressed during this time. We want it to set. So if you can imagine you're making jello, you want it to set and settle down in its mold. So pulling things out at the moment, trying to be somebody, unless you are between a rock and a hard place, don't do this. So how do you know if you're between a rock and a hard place? One, you're being abused, okay, being badly treated, you have mental health issues, you have been somehow put into a very extreme situation, you have a very extreme health concern, very extreme thing that you're going through. If you're going through an actual extreme that could potentially be harmful to your health, definitely you will need to do something here. And ask around. Sometimes in Aquarius, people know how it is, and they will tell you exactly what you need to do, what you need to be in the next cycle of time. But in certain people's lives, no matter how much you don't want to be there, how much you hate doing the homework and being in this territory, and oh gosh, this is boring, I don't like it, try to feel pleased with it. Now, this is really hard for me as well, and I understand you. If you are a perfectionist and nothing ever really seems right, or you're not necessarily entirely fully pleased, no matter how far a situation has come and how great is your outcome, I get you. And I understand it if you don't like also certain people for it, but you still do it, you know. So it's like, oh, it's never good enough, it's not what I want, you know, this is not what I want, this is not what I want. So if you are limiting yourself, for example, you are dieting constantly, knowing that very well that this is potentially an eating disorder, try to sort this out. You know, if you are very bossy with your partner, knowing that sometimes what you're saying to them is very far-fetched and out of the obvious, like you're just being unreasonable sometimes, you also will have to notice. And if you, for example, grounding your children, knowing very well that you're being sometimes very mad, you know, so we have to somehow try to equilibrate. We need to understand and come to terms if you are just very mean, or if you're very magic and you're trying to do different things all the time. So yes, some people are mad. Aquarius brings up madness. Some people want to do that, which is impossible, and sometimes they will do mean things to themselves or each other to just go to that next level, to that next escape or that next balancing. So yeah, certain people would do amazingly extreme things. Some people would want to do something to prove or show something to themselves and each other. And yeah, certain things are an incredible feat. Like overnight, we have a hero born, an Aquarius, or overnight something really mad happened and this person manifested all this amazing stuff in their life. Let's try to take several steps back. The idea that you're going to be famous for something that you still haven't done, the idea that you're going to be witnessed, noticed, or discovered, the feeling that you're going to meet this person online and they're going to be the one, all of that, which makes you feel this extremist feeling of like, yeah, I'm just going to do this one thing and this other thing, and then it's going to work out, and then my invention is going to work. Like the feeling of like a mad scientist doing something extreme to get what they want going in their life is going to eventually somehow disturb you. So very, very quickly made plans, things that are not planned, things that are not organized, and things that are not put together, and things also that have no prerequisite. For example, you are a fine human being, you're doing whatever, you know, you've been doing whatever for years, and suddenly you're like, no, this is not who I am. Guess who I am? So all of these personality traits that are coming up to the surface, all of these sudden agonies, they usually can be traced. Maybe you're starting to become more like your mom, or maybe you are starting to become more like that which you were when you were a teenager, or you're trying to relive a certain memory, which is sometimes an okay thing, but even that needs to be done kindly and carefully. So for example, when you were a young woman, you used to be a kind of like a punk rocker or like a crazy kid, and then you become really selfish and emotional, and you said, I don't want any of this, and I want to keep my house and my family how I was brought up. And then eventually you were seeing, oh my gosh, I'm getting old, I'm getting sad, I'm getting sulky, and I want to bring some of that punk rocker back into my life. So you're starting to like say bleach your hair, like, you know, putting pink strands in it, you know, you're starting to maybe get little tattoos here and now and then, or you like doing something a little bit different, like say you are wearing those stripy crazy socks, or you know, you are putting more of these garments from your time gone by into your natural world. That's an okay thing in some ways, because you're trying to contrast who you were and who you are, and you're trying to maybe marry the different spiritualities and the different games that you've played when you were a kid, maybe trying to put some of that inner child into your world today, maybe trying to make her feel more welcome. Like say, for example, you had very stable parents, but then you went wild, and now you are stable again, but you are still wanting to have a conversation with that child, the inner child that you had come out to play in your teens and 20s. That's absolutely okay, but do it very kindly and calmly. That's the thing. You don't want to blow everybody's mind. Like, you don't want to suddenly, like, say, run away, get back on the drink, or you don't want to accidentally, also be spotted. Like, for example, like, you don't want to go to a crazy infamous club, and maybe your teenagers are, going places, or they know people, and then suddenly it's like, Mom, you here? So you don't want this to become kind of like one of those mad cycles. And yeah, I understand and I get you. If some of your past has not been metabolized, or it is not yet comfortable for you. So yeah, we are looking at new levels of comfort as we walk into Saturn-based Pisces, and we are definitely needing to be fine. We're needing to look good to ourselves. We want to feel good. Some people want to feel extra pretty. Some people want to feel youthful. Some people want to feel mad. Some people want to feel desired. Other people just want to feel fun. Like, they just want to have fun, and they just want to do something that actually makes them feel, look, and sense great. And sometimes people will go into extremes. Like, for example, a person that's been bottled up inside for many years will suddenly want to go somewhere, and they don't even know where they're going. So definitely understand a lot of this is about bottled up feelings and bottled up self-talk and emotions that didn't feel like anything for like thousands of years, suddenly topping, like, so suddenly it's almost like all the bubbles come up to the surface, and all that fizz just basically explodes in this like volcanic eruption. And what we don't want to do is we don't want to make, especially with this Pluto and Mercury going through Aquarius this month, we don't want that to be the way things are, because they are not sustainable. So, I mean, this depends on you and how you see yourself in your life. And I understand that sudden urgency and the excitement of being suddenly someone else, or like the feeling or the fear, the thrill of the chase, and suddenly having good karma where there was just bad karma, or suddenly feeling like, yeah, I won the race. Like, these feelings are very wonderful, maybe very good for you, but the minute that they are overly extensive, the minute that things are incredibly giant, they may actually not have anywhere else to go, and sometimes they topple over. So very careful with previously made plans and current planning. I've already talked about this in the new moon video for Aquarius for 29th of Jan. So you have to be within proportion, within reach, and within respect. So you don't want to do anything mad. You don't want to spit upon that which you were and make a new version of yourself. And you definitely don't want to be bossy, because this is not sustainable. Like, for example, I'm going out and I'm going to show you who I am, or I'm going to make you all turn around and look at me. So yeah, definitely understand why there is bossiness. I understand why there's gloss. There is need to be a little bit better off than one has been. And sometimes there's a need to pretend. Like, for example, sure, like, I'm having a terrible day, like, school is hard, like, mom has yelled at me, but you know what, guess what? I'm going to walk out there and, like, I'm going to strum my guitar and I'm going to blow everybody away. So this feeling of wanting to be there no matter what, to stabilize yourself in a way that only you see fit, is actually okay. That's an okay part of this season. Also, Capricorn has a bit of that. Aquarius has a bit of that. There's a feeling of no matter what come what may, I'm gonna shine. Like, I'm gonna like wear my cape with my undies on the outside. I'm gonna blow everybody's mind. And definitely there is a question of art and theater and artistry, and somebody being incredibly provocative and funny and emotional, and suddenly you didn't even think, you never thought that person was so out there, but they are. And the best way that I'm seeing this is, although it is grand, and sometimes it's cool to see a person build up to a come up, and suddenly they're an entertainer, or suddenly they are the one and only this or that, just be very, very kind to them. If you are noticing like your son or daughter or sister or brothers doing these extensive, extreme things, behave with them very well. Just understand sometimes it is not what it looks like. It is not what it looks like. It is not what it seems. So the human that really wants to do something outrageous and outside of that which they've been doing and that which they've done, they need to maybe have a talk. Sometimes maybe we need to have some time. You have to take it back. So especially if you're noticing your kids doing this, or your significant other feeling terrible about themselves always, and feeling a little down, and then coming up and doing something very epic. Introvert, extrovert. We have to really do something together. Sometimes you just have to sit down and ask, like, what's going on? What have you been up to? Like, what media have you been watching? Where have you been going? Like, what do you think? Like, what's your new pattern? And definitely understand if things are insane. And if they're building up to something, like, better than, like, I know what I'm going to do. like say, I'm going to build this house on top of the hill, you know, like suddenly like this person is kind of witnessing all of this power, all this energy come up, and suddenly like they're coming to this very outrageous design, very outrageous endings can also happen during this time. Risk of life can happen during this time, and also people doing something that they never even seen done before. It's like, I don't know, but I'm just going to use all these colors, or I'm going to like build this cottage, and I'm going to make it look like the moon, like it's made from like cheese, it's made from moon cheese, you know. So these outrageous psychedelic pop fancy, colorful, brilliant feelings usually don't have anything to do with that. So the extreme explosion of color and interest could actually be a submissive part of a person coming through. And there are different peoples that would argue this and say, well, you know, what's the use of just life? I need some therapy. And like, I don't care if it costs me later. That's the thing. I don't care if it costs me later. I want to be there. So like the best thing that I think I have ever done is just lower your step, lower your voice, and try to keep this fire inside and utilize it safely and securely. So like say your whole life is okay. Your body is okay, your relationships are okay, your home is okay. So this is nice if some people are having a big blast of air or big blast of light, and there's no ego there. Sometimes it is just hormones, or sometimes it is just feelings. And then we just have to somehow put things into such a nice, simple role that they matter eventually after all. Okay, sure, you want to do something great. Bad time to start anything. Bad time to tell that to a person who thinks that the new year begins in January. Yeah, so people, I'm not the only one saying that it was always March, April when the year began. We have 13 months, okay, not 12 also. Like everybody's talking about this. I've been talking about this for 9 years. Okay, so basically you don't have to necessarily go there with me if you don't want to. All right, we've always had March as the starting of the year. Now it's becoming mainstream what I've been saying 9 years ago, okay? That's how I started my channel. We don't have anything really that great to offer each other right now. We are just walking through the past. Pisces is death. Like this is, sorry if you Pisces no hard feelings. This is like the time between time. You know, this is like a total reset, if you will. If you care, try to make it fine, jolly, strong, and good that Aquarius is what it is. It's like being a jolly old man or jolly old lady. You know, it's like, yeah, I'm going to have a beer, you know, I'm going to enjoy my day. You know, this is feeling of celebration sometimes. This is like almost like before parting ways, like before you part your previous life, before you part with your previous lover or your friends. It's like you're going to have a nice drink and remember each other. You know, it's like, you know, all the drinks are all on me. You know, like this is a nice drink on the house. You know, this feeling of being stable, being good. It's a beautiful time to celebrate. It's a beautiful time to see how far you have come and other people in your life have come. It's a time to count the chickens. And eventually we go into Pisces, which is no man's land. And guess what? It's done. It's done. Okay, cool. Pisces sometimes brings about neutrality, it brings about grayness. It will show you if there is an issue, if there's an illness, a disease, a deceit, disorder, if you don't feel very good about yourself. So Pisces will sometimes have a clever way of thinking about things and deciding for you where you can go next. So Pisces is like, okay, I know all the places are filled, but I've got an extra for you. Or Pisces will be like, okay, here are some hand-me-downs from a person who has passed. You know, or here are some antiques, you know. So definitely Pisces has some idea. This is about reused and recycled goods. Even Aquarius can be like that. So these are old things. Pisces can be like, okay, cool, just like have a lazy day. Why don't you just have a drink, relax, you know, go to bed, you know, here have some herbs, you know. So Pisces definitely, especially in a snake year, it doesn't necessarily have to, but it will sometimes, you know, come up with a practical solution, especially with the Saturn there in Pisces, and make you feel like you belong, make you feel like you believe, and make you feel safe, make you feel sane. And some of the time it will get you there, but it is not going to be right sometimes. It is kind of like means to an end, like, okay, you don't have any shoes. Here's my old shoes from like 7 years ago. Like, here, have some old shoes, but you don't want to walk in them all your life. So like, for example, you have to cross from one point to another point A to point B. And here is somebody else's old sad, like disheveled, smelly shoes. You don't want to wear them beyond that point. Like this is just gonna be, it's a means to an end. It's gonna take you from yourself here to yourself later. So that's what Pisces is kind of giving for me. And basically what you want to do is you don't want to destroy it. So it's careful planning, careful thinking, and always think about what is old, what is disheveled, what is destabilizing. As we go into that at the end of the year, at the end of the month, and the end of the year, March is going to be also Pisces time. So there's a really big need to make it very kind and careful and simple and generous, and sometimes we have to be very wise before we do anything, and we trick ourselves or other people into working too hard. And now what I really enjoy about Pisces is the dreams. It's kind of like being mellow, it's being between worlds. Sometimes, sure, people take substances sometimes during Pisces. You obviously don't need to, but like sometimes it's just like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna like have my whatever I'm having, and I'm just gonna lay down and I'm just gonna think about the way that life is, and how I am, and so this is sometimes very nice. So what we are preparing for is a total distortion of things. Sometimes things will bring themselves up very peculiar, in a very peculiar way. Sorry. They could be very peculiar. So now is the time to understand the distortions. Like say, you don't have a friend anymore. Wow, the lights have just gone down. That person has been acting very peculiar. Or for example, you think that you have money in the bank, but somehow, because of certain things that have happened last week, that it's been drained, or it's been put into a fund, or it's been blocked off, or your credit card has bounced, So these are the things that I'm talking about. Very gentle with yourself and other people, although the force is strong. Pisces has Saturn. Then we're having this dance of Neptune, North Node, Mercury to a degree, Venus, of course, and all of this hullabaloo between Pisces and Aries, and it's going to be happening through the year. This is no man's land. Pisces the end and Aries the beginning, and this is going to be hard. It's like, am I trusted? Am I not? Do I trust this? Do I not trust it? Is this real? Is this not real? Oh my God, did I make this up, or does this actually happen to me? So this is the thing. We have to be very, very closed. Sometimes we have to be close to center. We don't want to make it anything that it's not. We don't want to make it anything that is not real. And we want to make it very, very kind and true who we are at the moment. So although there is this dreamy, enigmatic time, we are in Snake, and Snake likes us to dream and imagine and feel. We don't want that to become the main be-all, end-all frequency in fantasy, because what Snake does is it prepares us for later years. And sometimes, it is aggressive. It can give us something that we'll keep forever, for eternity. So we don't want to make it just about frivolous things, about like money and happiness and, oh, wow, imagination, and like, wow, I want to go somewhere, la, 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 I want to be somebody extra. Snake is trying to prepare us for certain deals for later in years. And she's really good at helping us with our bodies and our nervous system. So yeah, if you want, you can follow me on this, although you don't have to. You don't have to. But you can take certain substances, and this is like certain teas, certain medicines, certain types of things. You can put things in your house. For example, what you can put in your house is like different like foot baths and massagers. I'm like all for it. I'm almost 40. I stand by my wisdom, although it's not safe putting this so much online, but yeah, take care of yourself basically. Acupressure mats, massage. Maybe sometimes you want to see somebody who will also help you, get a back rub sometimes, go to sometimes another city, enjoy, but then like come back home. This is bad for long-term, long-distance travel. This is not about long-distance travel, although Pisces does suggest long-distance travel. It is better to just have a nice, mature, safe and sound way of looking at your life, looking at your cosmos, looking at your home, looking at your body, and eventually telling yourself another story, another dream. Because Pisces, at the end of the month, is in between. It's like outcomes and no outcomes. So was I ever that, or was I not? Was I ever gay, or was I not gay? Was I ever troubled by my mother so much, or was it just a dream? So these are the liquidy feelings that I'm feeling for the Pisces month. And then we have to somehow stay strong So we don't want to just go into, like, say, for example, narcotics and shamanism or imagination during this time. It is very likely with snake, if you have a regular addiction or interest in certain things that are like out of this world, be very careful. Be very careful also with people that make you feel like, I'm like sitting with this person, and no matter how much I look at them, I understand. Like, all of this, very, very hard. Some of that is not going to be very easy for you to eventually transcend falling in love with, I don't know, like someone who's not capable of falling in love, or doing something with people that are not capable of actually providing any kindness or comfort for you later in life. So definitely, if you're an older person and you're like easily tricked by AI or filters or imagination, so it's really, really important to understand and respect it, and respect that about other people. So if you are somebody working in pop culture and such, if you are a presenter and you are using a lot of tricks of the trade, and it's important to just like gauge things and be very kind, be very good, very kind, and very wholesome. And it's like, don't trick anybody. You may be tricked later. Tricking people, tricking yourself, tricking others, into participating with anything that you yourself do not believe. So for example, selling counterfeit goods, I already talked a lot about that on my Patreon channel, especially for Jen. Selling things that are not good, telling things you don't trust and you do not yourself believe in. So we have to like understand, we have to like also stop the mind from evolving things that should not evolve. Like, for example, you're like, I talk to Jesus Christ and he's my brother and we talk. He sits in my room and we have talks, so stop big religious stuff, especially for Cancer. If you want, you can have a look at my prognoses for this month on Patreon. People going really deep into psychology, really deep into their childhood wounds, so this is all very, very dark. And it can also become very quickly very hateful, and sometimes people dream themselves into a maze they cannot get out of, such as drugs and alcohol, such as positions in life where you don't want to be, like selling things you don't want to be selling, and doing things you don't want to be doing. Like, for example, you're tricking somebody, but somebody's gonna like trick your mother or father, so it's like, that's the thing. It's like, you don't want to go with the trickster snake and trickster Pisces at this time, because we're very susceptible to dreams. But it is so susceptible to dreams, it can also make you very uncomfortable. For example, you can take a substance during this year even, and you'll never go back, or you'll never believe the world outside the same as you've done. So the idea is to regress back into certain things, understand them, but not take them any further. So sometimes, like, for example, if you're thinking about doing anything, a very small microdose is enough, like, just very, very careful with plants, with medicines, with magic, with anything during this particular Pisces. And then we have another outcome. So yes, Pisces has a way with you. I will be talking a little bit more about that in March, but for now, I'm going to close February. If you have any questions also about me, I have a website, I have a book for the year and everything like that. And also, yes, I do have a Patreon. Have a look at my Patreon if you like and such. And I am Polina, over and out. Thank you. Bye.